Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to yet another episode of Matitude, the ESC United live stream where we talk about, you guessed it right, Eurovision. And I could not be more excited. I guess technically you could always be more excited, but we are reaching a major milestone. The 2 weeks at Eurovision are officially beginning, I guess, tomorrow, where the rehearsals will start behind closed doors. And we all know it's going to be a little bit different than usual. And those who don't, I will talk you through because, as the name indicates, of this live stream, it is a review and getting ready for the rehearsals. And I'll take you through all of that, of course, talk it through. We have, of course, plenty of Eurovision news to talk about as well. And let's just have fun and let's just enjoy this experience. And I hope that you all can do me a quick favor and like this video right now. The YouTube algorithm, especially in this day and age, favors the main channels. I'm talking about Eurovision and kind of ignores us in this day and age. So if you like and comment on any of our videos, that goes a long way, of course. So I really appreciate that. And as always, I will answer your questions. So this will be a dialogue. Just bear with me. The very important part is help me to find you in the chat so I know that you're talking to me by addressing me at ESC United, and then we'll go from there. So I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend, and I see somebody in the chat already asking me the question. Matt, are you in Liverpool already? Lee, no, I am not. I am not going to be in Liverpool yet. I will be there, of course. However, I will address that later on when I'll arrive, why, how, when, and all of that stuff. But no, I'm currently at home here in the US of A, beautiful California. It is very, very hot here today. And actually, it's not. It says it's 60 degrees, but I'm sweating like a pig. So it is definitely warm in my book. So I know you already have a bunch of questions here. I'm showing this one here. What are your thoughts on the press situation this year? The press center is sitting empty and delegations are forced to organize their own conferences, which is a shame. Well, stop stealing my thunder. I will talk through that right now here. I have that on my agenda. So hold on tight, stay tuned. And I know, Ruben, I had you stop jumping around, chat. Who will rehearse tomorrow? The first, well, we don't know, right? Officially, we don't know because the EBU is not releasing any information in regards to the first individual rehearsals because they're closed to the press. But usually how it works, the first half of the first semi-rehearsals first, then the second half, then the first second, and so on. That's usually how it's done. And then the second round, then it's going to be a little different. But that's usually traditionally. So I know you have a lot of questions in the chat. I really want to answer them. So let's jump right into the topics, as always, at ESC United. Let me just have a sip of water. And since, Ruben, you brought up a great point already, I think we should jump right into it. How does this work? This first week of rehearsals, it is completely closed to the public, and only the EBU allows what's being presented. The very first rehearsals, the first round of individual rehearsals for the artist, that will kick off tomorrow, April the 30th. We don't know exactly what time, but traditionally it starts like in the morning. And on the very same day, starting tomorrow, each act steps on the stage for the first time. They had stand-in rehearsals before this last week or so. So some random artist locally, kind of was doing that, standing in for the act. But this will be the first time they take the stage. And the EBU will bring you some footage from it over the Eurovision Song Contest TikTok channel. Those who don't like TikTok, get over it. I don't like it either, but it is what it is. They will be posting short snippets from the performance, and not like the camera work, but just from somewhere in the arena, and then a little glimpse on how they're doing backstage before they get to perform at Liverpool on that big stage. The question is, Demetrius, are we going to see pictures or something of rehearsals? Pictures will be probably posted as well, but it will be very, very limited. And keep in mind, even though we're not seeing it, there are often the possibilities of changing things, especially outfits, all of that stuff. We had plenty of artists where the outfit did not work on camera as they anticipated, so they get go back to wardrobe and fix that. Keep in mind, one thing that is very interesting: everything that changes, even if it's just a dress or a hat or whatever it may be, needs to be approved through the proper channels because that affects everybody. It may see just like a tiny little thing, but the lighting folks, that makes a difference. So everything, you cannot just show up in something brand new without letting people know and all of that stuff. Just a little nitbit behind the scenes, of course. So that is how the first round of individual rehearsals work. I will talk a little bit in a moment, or as we talk through this, how we here at ES United are going to cover these events, where we are, what we can provide, because again, we cannot see it. Lee Fern for the very blunt. Why the hell has the EBU decided on closed rehearsals? Oh yes, money without any thought. Press and fans, disgusting. Now listen, it's a little bit more complicated. That while I am very disappointed that everything is now behind closed doors, I do think there is a case of not being closed. That you can make a case of being closed because there is a little bit more pressure on the artists, right? The way things are being perceived. Sometimes you have these moments, say Ronella or Albania last year, or Roxanne in Romania, right? Where the very first rehearsals pretty quickly indicated that this could not work well. You will not get the information. And on the other hand, you will forget these whoa moments like talk Eleni Ferreira, Cyprus 2018, right? When she first did her first rehearsal, it was like, wow. So, but basically what they are saying, their reasoning is that they want to give all the acts and delegations the piece to get them to rehearse and then go from there. Once again, we can talk later about why, if that's good or bad and all of that stuff. But let me just get you through the things here first. For those that don't know, then there is the second round of individual rehearsals. Usually the first round of individual rehearsals lasts 30 minutes per country. So Norway will be the first act tomorrow morning to take the stage. They get to rehearse for 30 minutes. Usually they perform once, and once they've done that once, the entire team gets together and rewatch that performance. There's usually like a 10-minute break before they rehearse again. Then they usually have like 2 more run-throughs, sometimes 3 if you're lucky, but usually they do 3 run-throughs with little breaks in between. Then they go off stage. There's a 5-minute, I think it's 5 or 10-minute break. I don't remember the first round around. And then the second country will take the stage, which in this case would be Malta. And then Malta will go through the same thing again. Keep in mind, this is not where they start. Before they even go on stage, they have to go backstage, again, getting a briefing on how it all works. Then they have a sound check and all of that stuff, getting mic'd, blah, blah, blah. Then once they get off stage, things will be different because we used to have a meet and greet with the artists. Since that is no longer the case, it's a little different. So that is how it works, and they're going to go do that for 4 days basically until all semifinalists have rehearsed once individually. Then the second round of individual rehearsals start, so they get another round. Then the time, I think, will be cut shorter from 30 to 20 minutes. At least that's how it's been for many, many years, and I assume it's going to continue that way because it's going to be more bam, bam, bam. Since you've done already once, you rehearse for 20 minutes. You once again get usually 3 run-throughs in most cases. There were times where somebody gets through it 4 times. We've seen it where only go once or twice due to technical difficulties. So we will never know that again, probably, because it's all behind closed doors now. So that is something to keep in mind. And thank you first of all, Lee Fern. I got to answer the super chat first. That's the rule. Little donation for your hard work. It worked perfectly well for many years apart, for the odd exception. I know there are always exceptions, right? So thank you very much for supporting us. So anyways, we're going for the second round of individual rehearsals, right? They will take place after the first round of rehearsals. So most likely Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know. We have less days because of the coronation, all of that stuff. So they may squeeze it in a little bit, but we don't know for sure. But we're going to look at the TikTok schedule in just a moment as well. Anyway, so we're going to have then the second round of individual rehearsals. And if you want to see a preview of the full stage, and you usually get like the camera work, right? So you get a 30-second snippet, I think. That's usually the rule. Yeah, 30 seconds as seen on TV, preview clip of each performance after the second rehearsals, as pointed out, starting Wednesday, May 3rd. So on Wednesday, and these rehearsal previews will be shared on YouTube, the Eurovision YouTube channel, during a compilation show each evening. In the past, they just released the snippet shortly after they rehearsed. It sounds like, and we just found out about that recently, they will actually compile all these performances done each evening and each all throughout the day, and then put them all in one big video at the end. So this is new. I don't know exactly how this will going to work, if it's just a video that's being recorded, but that is certainly something we need to learn on the go. Also on TikTok, they'll be sharing some of they call it Tea with Timur. Timur, the host of the Eurovision 20, co-host, I should say, of Eurovision 2017, always a commentator for many years, and he is now being on TikTok. He will be meeting with each of the 37 artists directly after the second rehearsal. And I'm going to go through that schedule in a moment as well. So he will be inviting the artists to spill some of the gossip, the tea, if you will, from the first few days on the ground in Liverpool. Don't worry, I'll be around as well, but tea with Timur, I'm just going to call it milk with Matt. No, that sounds wrong. Marzipan with Matt. Mashed potatoes. I don't need. Give me an M. Give me an M that works with Matt. Milk sounds kind of inappropriate. Mineral water. Whatever it may be. One of those things. By the way, during those TikTok sessions, Germany, Spain, Italy, France will also use this opportunity to draw which half of the running order they will appear in. So that has changed over the years. Sometimes I do it at the red carpet. Usually I do it after press conferences, but since I got rid of all the press conferences and any promotion for the artists, that is not going to happen. I see like somebody agrees marzipan with Matt. Okay, marzipan with Matt. It is mince with Matt. M&M's with Matt. I like those. Anyways, we'll figure out a name later. So that is basically how this will work, right? So in the Big Five plus Ukraine, they will be squeezed in between as well. They're going to have the same amount of rehearsals. And then they will most likely have the second round of rehearsals on Saturday, I would assume. We'll go for the schedule in just a moment. And then starting on Sunday is the turquoise carpet. And then on Monday is when all the rehearsals, the dress rehearsals, will start. The good news is we are at least allowed in there, but there are still plenty of limitations this time around. And we'll go for that in just a moment as well. So Mocha with Matt, I like that. So yeah, so that is basically in a run through what's going to happen throughout this week. Once again, the EBU does not release the exact schedule in terms of how this all going to work because it's behind closed doors. But what I know from all these years I've been doing it, that is how it works and goes through. And it's just the timing is a little difficult. And that also affects our live streams throughout the week. We're going to have daily live streams, by the way, but in terms of timing, that's going to be a different story. But mojitos with Matt. That is really nice. Somebody said I missed a super chat. Let me go back. Thank you for Adam Green. Thank you so much for that. That is very much appreciated. It wasn't a question, but I still appreciate it. If I missed something else, please let me know, because this is a one-man show today, because I'm getting everyone else to get ready for Liverpool. And we have already some people there. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. That was all planned for later. Mighty Matt. So that is basically how it works the first week, and the second week again. Actually, you know what? Let's actually do the next thing I wanted to do. And that is, I'm going to share my screen in just a hot second. I want to go with you, not slide by slide, but give you a better idea of what to expect from the media and your viewing enjoyment here on YouTube over the next couple of weeks. The EBU has released a media handbook. Okay, I need to zoom in probably a little bit more. But anyways, there are probably, yeah, 69 slides. Let's go for them one by one. No, I'm kidding. So we're going to skip for all of this. We can, it's a welcome thing. But there are a few things I want to point out that talk about the show, the about the EBU. You can get this, by the way, on the EBU's website. It's not like just only sent to the media. So feel free to peruse through all of this if you want. There's some good information in there. The Eurovision history. I expect everyone to know everything about the history, so I am not going to go into that either. The UK in Eurovision. Now, I am curious because the UK has a long history at Eurovision, how they address the the period of less successful entries, if they're going to sugarcoat it, or it's probably at the end. Last year's Spaceman, no, okay, I was hoping they're going to address some of the like less than ideal results. Kisses for you, but despite Liverpool's on air, we had to wait until 1997. Last year's Spaceman, the high scoring of all time Spaceman, took the run at position, cementing you can record. Okay. I don't see anything like shockingly mentioned there. United by Music. I didn't get any money for them being allowed to use the word united. But that is okay. There are a bunch of things where they can be found, website, welcome to Liverpool, yada, yada, yada. The venue and travel, it's just information, airports and whatnot. Nothing to really go over. Filming in Liverpool, I don't know. Yes, be our guest with a very disturbing statue. Oh, YouTube's going to censor me showing that. Okay. The stage, we all have seen the stage already. There are videos out there to give you a little bit, when oh gosh, I still want to say Prince Charles, but he's now King Charles. King Charles and his wife, Camilla, right? Yeah, they were hitting that button awkwardly, and then we got to see all of that. So blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to talk about the hosts. You know them, Graham Norton, Alicia Dixon, Julia Sanina, and then our Ted Lasso girl, Hannah Waddingham. One thing I think is interesting, because I haven't really paid attention, the first semifinal, you see some of the acts that will actually perform there. Juliana Sanina actually will perform there. You see Alyosha, who represented Ukraine in 2010. They briefly made a mention here about, women fleeing Ukraine and how it impacts them. I hope they're going to give a shout out to the guys as well, who are actually the ones fighting this terrible war. Rebecca Ferguson, of course, and then Rita Ora, a superstar. She is going to be performing as well, a show-stopping medley of some of her biggest hits. And then the second semifinal, we have actually Maria Yaremchuk. She represented Ukraine. You remember the big hamster wheel with TikTok? And then Zlata Sunika and Otoy. There will be the intellects for the second semifinal. And then in the grand final, the winner of last year's contest, Kalush Orchestra, will open the show, rightfully so. And Sam Ryder will be one intergalact. And then, by the way, one thing I really love the idea of is the flag parade. One of my favorite things at Eurovision at the beginning. It just has this Olympic Games feel to it, and I'm digging that a whole lot. Right? But let me read this part. This year's traditional flag parade is inspired by the event slogan United by Music, and then iconic British anthem are mixed with famous Ukrainian songs sung by the original artists Goa Jamala, Tina Carroll, and Verka Serduchka. And I'm really looking forward to that. That is amazing. And then we see some familiar faces. Dadir, representing Iceland in 2020 technically, but let's not talk about it. Mahmoud, co-representing Italy last year, as well as in 2019. Duncan Lawrence, Hudad, now of course he won in 2019. Neda, who won for Israel in 2018. Cornelia Jacobs, representing Sweden last year, came in 4th place. And then Sonia is a little bit of a nice little retro flashback. Sonia, those who are not as familiar with the contest, she represented the UK in 1993, and she came in a really great 2nd place. So it's great to have her there as well. So I am super excited about that. I always love me some real good retro feel about that. So let's go for, that's the thing I wanted to point out. And then we're going to get all the entries. Feel free to read for them all, blah, 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 blah. And it's gonna give like 18 pages just this alone. Let's get. Oh my God, this will never stop. Okay, we made it to the grand final. That's like half of the book, it seems. Back in the day, although it's short, I recall we got like a whole page for each artist in the past. I get like a little blip, like 5 a page. So, oh wow, you got it safe on paper. The turquoise carpet, as pointed out, is next Sunday, not this Sunday, in 2 days. Not 2 days, one day. Oh God, a week from tomorrow. There you go. And where all the artists will walk through, show their pretty outfits, and then have a little drink or whatever. The press will has a chance, and the fans as well, on the other side usually, to talk to them real briefly, take some pictures. I will not be there because I do not like the turquoise carpet. It's just too hectic for me. Anyways, the list of winners, in case you didn't know, you can get them all in here. I'm not gonna. This is another thing I wanted to stop by real quick here. And that's the schedule TikTok lives with Timor. Timor, I think they called them. So this will start May 3rd, which is I think Wednesday. That's the second round of individual rehearsals, where once they've rehearsed, at some point, instead of having a proper press conference, instead, they will sit down with Timor and have a 25-minute chat per country. As you can see, Norway will start at 11:55 up until 12:20. They will have a little bit of interviews. So if you are on TikTok, feel free to go there. If you're not, then you just have to wait and talk to me, because we'll be live streaming as well. And then, they do that every day. So we know, based on this, that on the second day of rehearsals, Norway will start, and they go all the way down to Finland. Oh, wow. So the entire first semi probably will rehearse then, or maybe not. I don't know. We don't know for sure, but that's usually what I'm assuming. Then on the 4th, we only get 5 countries. And then on the 5th, we get another larger number. I wonder why that is so short. Oh, you know why? So you may be wondering why the 4th, because you can see delegations rehearsal, day 5, semifinal 2, first half, and the big 5 and Ukraine will rehearse for the first time. So the afternoon is reserved for the big 5 in Ukraine. So they will not have their TikTok until a couple of days later. Then the second half, basically, of semifinal 2 will rehearse, and you get all of these countries doing their little TikTok. And then finally on Saturday, right? Is that the 6th? Let me double check I'm not off with my days. I'm still in April here. Let me move on to May. May the 6th is a Saturday, yes. So on Saturday, these 6 countries, the big 5 plus Ukraine, will rehearse, and then they'll have for the second time, and they'll get their TikTok session. And then Sunday, most likely, everything will be done. The only thing we'll have is the turquoise carpet. So, and that will also be a very important day. And then this is what I really wanted to show you. As well, that's the second week, and that is where we have somewhat access. Semifinal 1, dress rehearsal 1, including Italy, Germany, and France performance. They will vote in the first semi, therefore they get to actually perform there, because I'll explain in a second. But basically, there's no audience. The press is allowed inside the arena and allowed to watch it on the screen in the press center, as well as in the online press center, if you are doing that. So that's the first time we'll get the first glimpse. Then that's from 1:30, I think it's local time, right? So it would be 2:30 everywhere else. Not everywhere else, that's not accurate either. Central European time, that's usually what we go by for the most parts. And then at 8, or which would be 9 o'clock Central European time, the second dress rehearsal will happen, and that is what they call the jury show. But there's a big round but on this one. This is not a jury show, because there are no juries voting actually in the semi. However, I am pretty sure they haven't said, but there is always a backup jury, even though they're not going to be included in the vote. But let's say for some reason the voting system goes down, they need to have a backup plan. So there'll be a backup jury most likely watching this and giving the votes, just in case things go sour somewhere, somehow. So that is still happening. Just, they will not matter for the live show for the most part, unless there will be something happening. And this will also be the night, usually, at least traditionally it has that way, Italy, Germany, and France, their performance will be recorded. And then during the second show, semifinal one live broadcast, that's when you can see like a 1 minute snippet of it during the live show. So they're using that 1 minute snippet that you usually see on TV, that was performed in the dress rehearsal number 2, formerly known as the jury show. So that is basically what it is. Then the second semifinal, I'm sorry, the second day, my ninth semifinal one, we have what usually traditionally was called the family show. This is just basically just another dress rehearsal, the last one before the live show. They called it family show because oftentimes they allow families, local families, to get in there for a reduced price, or bring in the families of the acts and stuff like that to watch the show. So they often get tickets, but you could still buy them as well. But that was often traditionally called that way. But I'm not sure how family friendly it was this time. And then we have the live broadcast at 8, aka 9 Central European time. Then the media press conference. And then we repeat the same thing for the semi-final 2 on the 10th and the 11th. And then on the 12th, we're going to have the grand final dress rehearsal. No audience, same press will be in there. And then this time we'll do the dress rehearsal too. Now, we do have juries in the actual final, right? So this will then be the jury show. So this will be immensely important as well, because half of the points will come from this show. And then we have the Saturday stuff. So that is basically in a rundown what's happening. Let me just make sure that I know I've been talking a lot. If there are any other questions, have you seen the price of resale tickets? I'm happy I'm paying $15 for Eurovision Village for the final. I didn't even get tickets for the Eurovision final because I was too late, but I wasn't going to go anyways. Yes, I saw the resale price, and these are the most expensive tickets ever in the history of the contest. So we need, as much as like we have, the odd favorites, Sweden and Finland up there, and Norway, I just rooting really for Albania this year. I need an affordable Eurovision. Oh man. But yeah, I hear you on that one. It is pretty bad. So will you stream tomorrow, Jonna? Yes, more to come on that in just a moment. We will be see, maybe I shouldn't live stream. I cannot talk anymore. We will be live. But more to come on that in just a little bit. First, let me go through the handbook if there's anything else important, media accreditation, just when we can pick it up. Nothing too important. I will also go through our ESC United situation as well, the media categories, photographers, just really just mostly related to, as the booklet indicates, media. Safety is very disappointing. Apparently, this is very controversial. I cannot have any racist or xenophobic material. There goes my plan. So, but at least, hey, they didn't point out I can be homophobic, I can be transphobic, right? So maybe it's not all that bad. So, of course, you cannot have any discriminatory stuff. I cannot bring my rattles and my air horns, so they got to stay home as well. Darn it. And, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that is basically just stuff. Oh, no alcohol there either. I cannot drink. I cannot smoke in there. Ugh. I don't drink and smoke, but that's not the point. And then, just tips on staying safe, just stuff that you should follow in any city or country. And then just, media stuff, boring. Da, 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 da. I had to read through all of this, by the way. And it's hard to stay focused. But some of the stuff actually applies to us, so I had to be careful to not miss anything. Then the opening hours of the press center. And then media center map. So this is, I guess, where the taxi will drop us off. I'm not taking a taxi, but people who have a lot of money can, or the bus. I don't know. But anyway, so I guess I have to walk through there. There's the accreditation center. And then you see how it goes around the building where the media entry is. I don't think you can my mouse actually. So I have to actually walk around a building to get into the press center. Oh, don't they know who I am? I ain't got that kind of time. But then you see, you walk into the media entry, and then there's the big media center. That's the probably working area. And then you walk through, and then you can see the white area next to media center. That's where probably all the stalls and interview rooms are. I don't know why they need interview rooms. There won't hardly be any, but there'll be the front desk, probably snack bar and all of that stuff. And then you walk through the area, and then there's the media conference room uh, right next to it, and then the arena. It looks like a pretty nice layout there, though. So we'll see how that's all going to pan out. And then, yeah, online media center, again, now some of us have online access to the rehearsals. As it says, media is allowed inside for every first dress rehearsal. This is it, then says no, but we'll have access to all the other stuff, of course, as well. And then the media conference host, Timur, will do those, and then Jermaine Foster and Maria Vinogradova. Sorry. And then heads of media. That's for us to contact them if you want to do interviews and whatnot. Key people to know. My name's not on there, which is highly upsetting. I consider myself a big key person, but I guess not to them. And then voting. So if you want to get the voting information, you kind of know how it works. Differences this year, now juries in the semis. And then in terms of professional jury for the grand final, you get their rules. That's what I tweeted about, actually. Composition of the originality of the song is what's important to them. The quality of the performance on stage, vocal capacity of the performers, and overall impression of the act. So those are the criteria that the jurors are supposed to follow. So that is something I wanted to, I'm actually going to talk about in just a moment. A little bit more, because I have something else to show them. The venue. Are we done yet? Venue facts and figures. Don't care. Good to know. UK voltage and plugs. Okay, I need my converters. Water. The water in the UK is fully safe to drink. However, please pay attention if a tap is marked not drinking water. I'm like, okay, good. I thought that would just been like every faucet I see, it'd be like, Tipping. That's what I need to know. There are no specific, because in America, the rule is tip 20% at restaurants, right? But there are no specific rules for tipping in the UK. Please feel free to tip if you show your appreciation for good service. Around 10% of your overall bill is a good average. For larger groups, common for restaurants to apply a service charge. This can vary. Please check in for this yourself when you eat. Some restaurants are happy to split bills, but some are not able to do this. Again, what? Okay, this comes from an American. I'm like, if you say you cannot split the check, that wouldn't fly. Like, I'm not going to pay them. So that's interesting, yeah. And then cash or card. Okay, that's just whatever. The planet. Okay, how to save the planet. Okay, we'll do that another day. The people. What people? Marcel Bessenon Awards. Like, this is just given usually by the press, right? Every year, us press gets to vote. There's some random winners. In 2013, Waterfall won in Georgia. I vaguely remember that. What was another random one? No, the other ones are not that random, actually. But that one I remember, I was like, huh? But yeah. So, and then they also have awards here that it used to be the previous winners, but for the past God knows how many years, it's the commentators who vote. They sometimes different opinions. Serbia won last year. And then, of course, the composers get to vote as well. Last year, Sweden won. Which is interesting, by the way. I noticed when you go back to the press, it's not a single Sweden winner. Wow, how funny. So yeah, that's the winners, and then supporters, and then commercials. Okay, that's it. Okay, so yeah, I thought it was just interesting thing to share. I wanted to see. So that is what I have to deal with every time, and that is, just in a nutshell. I really want to know, but are you going to be alone at the press center? Because it seems like the press accreditation was less strict than last year. The answer is no, I will not be alone. But so we actually got 6 people approved. We only applied for 6 because we didn't think we were going to get it. And then all of a sudden, every one of us got approved. What? I just know we should have gotten more. So we're going to be 6 people. However, it's only for a week. And there is less value of being in the press center this day and age. But again, I will go for that in just a moment as well, what to expect. You're just jumping the gun here. Need some water. Okay, so Have you read the protest letter? More to come on that as well. So hang on tight. One of the things, let me bring that up, is that I also, because one of the things that I thought was very interesting, somebody posted this question. The ranks, is this a change? The ranks allocated to the individual songs by each juror are converted into a specific score value from 12 downwards, decreasing exponentially. When combined, the top 10 songs with the highest ranks are awarded 1 to 8, 10, and 12 points exponentially. They've done that for a few years now, first of all, and this person described it very well, Ben Robertson. That's as has been for a few years now. It proposed it a while back to avoid one juror dragging everyone else's top to 0 points or like 1 or 2. It happened before. It's ethically unacceptable, however, that said algorithm is not publicly published so that the community can independently verify the results. In theory, the EBU could change the weighting of this algorithm on the day of the contest to best suit their desired outcome. Not saying this has happened, but without the algorithm being known, such manipulation could happen to unknown to us. Anything to do with scoring should be known, and I completely agree with that, and I wanted to point that out. This has been one of the few things that I wish we would have been. We started out, until 2013, the way votes came in, there was very little transparency. Then in 2014, it was complete and utter transparency, right? Which was amazing. And over the years, it became less and less again. So they want to have a certain control over what we know and we can't know. That includes the San Marie's voting, a televote, because they don't have a televote, and then how the weighing of the jurors, is being changed as it goes down the list. So that is one of the things that needs to be taken into consideration. And just to provide more context to what I was just saying, all jurors rank the song from first to last, not just the top 10. Now you can make a case maybe they should just do the top 10, maybe the top 15. I'm in favor of maybe giving a top 15 just to give a little bit of wiggle room. But if everyone loves Sweden, here comes Matt. I love Sweden too, don't get me wrong. I'm just using Sweden, but I'm like, you know what? Stick it to Sweden. I'm going to put them last to make sure that Spain gets above them. That could be always a strategic juror. And I'm glad that they're doing that. It is just not transparent enough. And that is, the issue here. And it may be fair. There may be no manipulation. Probably there isn't. But the point is, if you leave room for interpretation, there's always the perception, and perception is reality, that something could be going awry, right? So that is certainly something to take into consideration. But I thought it was a very interesting thing to share in regards to that. So that is just, in a nutshell, the handbook I want to share, and this is what we are working with and all the information that we get. The EBU is not very forthcoming with additional information. They don't really respond to emails and stuff like that. Sometimes they do, depending how they feel, but usually it's very, very difficult. This year they responded to 0 of my emails, and I sent quite a few, but I tried. So that is certainly how it works. Basically, this system makes 11th and 26th place have a similar difference in value than 10th to 11th, so yeah, very unlikely to drag a country down. Yes and no. It's a little bit more elaborate. 11 has more weight than the 26th place. It just may not have as much weight as, like the equal number. In the past, it just added up, and did an average. They no longer do an average. So it's a smaller difference. That is true, but we don't know what difference. Is DB saying they're all equal? Or is it just a minor difference? Is it a big difference? We don't know. And that is the issue at hand. I actually like the idea. I'm very much in favor of it. I just don't know. I don't like the fact that it's all hush hush. So that is certainly what I think. So yep, that is in a nutshell what is happening in the book. Any questions about the handbook or the organization of Eurovision? Let me know in the chat at ESC United. At the very end, I will also talk about how ESC United comes into play, what we can do, because it is a little bit more, I'm not sure if messy, but certainly less transparent, because everything is behind closed doors. There's very little information provided to us, and which makes it a little bit more tricky. Let me see one question. Who do you think will be the standouts in the rehearsals? That is a big question, and the question I don't have an answer to. Honestly, I don't know. I have a few countries that are on my radar. And I do think there are a bunch of people or countries that will have a make or break kind of staging for them to go through. One of them is Switzerland. Right now, I have Switzerland as a borderline non qualifier, but I can see with the beautiful staging and great vocals and just a great feel that they could easily qualify. It'll come down to the staging, and that is what I'm looking forward to with them. So I'm not counting out Switzerland at all. They're in a very tough semi, but they are competitive and more competitive than a lot of people believe in my book. So that one is certainly on my radar in the first semi. I am curious to see if Let 3 from Croatia will go just as berserk in terms of visuals as they did in the national final, if they're going to change something or not. I still think they should kind of adjust a little bit to make it a little bit more accessible for a non-Croatian crowd, but we shall see about that. I'm curious about Romania. They said they're going to completely change it, so I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but I'm very curious what they'll come up with. We have no information about Cyprus, so that could be a standout as well. Same for Greece. Greece is a make or break thing for me in this particular semi. So those are the few of my answers. Matt, do you know if they sell programs at the live shows? They often did in the past, but there have been so many cuts over the past couple of years, so I'm not sure. So I don't want to get your hopes up. We'll see. In the past, actually, the press doesn't get anything for free, right? Except the access thing anymore. In the past, we got like at least like a little goodie bag, which had like the program in there and some random like a sticker or a pin or like a coffee mug or something like that. Nothing like outrageously expensive, but it was kind of like a nice gesture. That kind of has gone away as well. So then, and then they no longer provide public transportation to press either. It was apparently such a huge financial impact that they don't want to do this. On the second time this happens since I've been doing it. So these are, it's definitely they're the cheapest. It's the most expensive city, but the least things that they offer. So that is crazy. Good question, Galactic Damien, but a little bit premature because I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Will you be going live with the rehearsals again from tomorrow on? So that's a tricky answer, and I will answer them in just a moment, but I want to go for a few more things. So hold your thoughts. Don't worry. There you have it. So a few things that happened I just want to talk about that I thought was very interesting. Everyone has been talking about, of course, about the Netherlands. And one of the things that I thought was important to point out that Mia and Dion have made an important announcement on the daytime talk show Khalid and Sophie following weeks of media scrutiny in the Netherlands. And they revealed that they will be performing a different rendition of the song Burning Daylight at the Eurovision Song Contest 2023. And to win over the hearts of the fellow countrymen and everybody else, the pair performed an acoustic version of the track on the program last Friday. And during the show, they were joined by creator and director Duncan Lawrence, you know him, and the two discussed the impact of the criticism that they have received from the national press and international press. Don't leave us out. They acknowledged that the changes were necessary for the song to be successful in Liverpool, and the revised version of Burning Daylight features a few high notes, stronger backing vocals, and sung in a different key than the original. For copyright reason, I cannot do much, but this is just to get the feel in case you don't know what we're talking about. Now they're saying that this is more of a acoustic version of it, so we need to find out exactly how it'll sound completely. Mia and Dion both commented and admitted that the original version of the song is too difficult for them to sing. And Dion said, let me quote, "The core of the problem was that Mia and I had been fighting with the song for the past 6 months. The song is very difficult for both our voices to perform actually, and you don't discover that if you do it in a safe training environment. with vocal coaching and rehearsals. Everyone around us, including us, thought, okay, amazing. And then Mia added also, I didn't sing it with pleasure, but it was just a little too challenging. It just does not feel the exact same as when I'm singing my other songs that feel a little bit more free. And Duncan Lawrence has pointed out, the winner from 2019, he said that he's been surprised at how things have turned out. He admitted that he never heard the duo sing Burning Daylight live together on a stage and did not understand why they struggled with the song. So that is what's happening. So we have to wait and see what the final product will look like. That is going to be interesting. I listened to the snippet again. This is more of an acoustic version, I think, so it's not necessarily what we get at Eurovision. However, I will say if they keep the vibe of it, I am way more into that song. And keep in mind, we all love and respect the artists, but we want to point out the things that they need to improve upon. Some people are a little bit too harsh, in my view, and don't really respect the artists and the artistry that they're trying to put forward, even if you don't agree with their direction. I think at least we can be respectful and provide constructive criticism rather than just scream, it sucks. That being said, the song to me this year, Netherlands, unfortunately, one of my favorite countries at Eurovision over the past decade, certainly was one of the ones least listened to songs because it just was boring to me. And I just didn't like the arrangement and the emotion to it. And this new version, I definitely feel is way more intimate and accessible and prettier. So if they keep that vibe, I think that is a good idea. Changing the key and all of that stuff, great idea. Make it work for the artists. Why did it take you so long? That is a big ball that was dropped. You should not do that like a week before rehearsals begin. That just shows that, to me, the selection process was not done well. This has been probably the most controversial year for the Netherlands in terms of their song selection, probably for a reason about telling some non-truths about how the song was selected, how it was unanimous decision when in reality it wasn't, and the fact that they never sang this perform live together on stage and preferred for it, rehearsed for it, and the acts were so uncomfortable with the song for God knows how long, and yet nobody bothered to make any changes until the very last second. And that is, it's a little unprofessional in my book. And so I still root for the Netherlands big time because it's much prettier this way. At the same time, they're not singing that much. They really sing with a low key there, right? So it seems as the song and the singers were a huge mismatch. And that is the issue I have with these selections where you just have focused on the song rather than just find random artists to fill in the gap. And sometimes, yes, it works, but oftentimes, and this is a prime example, is why this often not works. You need to have a song where the act and the song come together rather than just being forced together. And I think the fact that they did that here, fine. But the reality is, at the 11th hour, all these changes, this completely unawareness, that is a big thing, right? Am I being too dramatic? But it just really, really, yeah, I'm a little confused about that. But I'm glad that they fixed it. And I still think, despite all of some of the negativities out there, I would be a fool to not consider the Netherlands as a potential qualifier. The betting odds currently don't have them and all of that stuff, but there are plenty of things that could work in their favor. So they're not completely out, especially now that we don't know exactly the entire field. But it's a little funny that they have to add backup tracks now to cover up the vocalists. That's just, I don't like that either. I have a doubter, M. Marta saying, I doubt the Netherlands can pull it up, but hey, good luck for them as long as Portugal is safely in the final. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not counting them out just yet. I am Dutch and I'm happy for Mia and Dion. They figured it out, but the committee did not choose the song in an honest way this year. Unfortunately, they still have to sweep it under the carpet. That's the issue. I think it's less about the act, right? I think Mia and Dion, they're just such nice individuals, and I want them to succeed, and I'll be rooting for them all the way to the semis, maybe the grand final. But yeah, it's more about the process, right? The broadcaster and everyone involved, how it went down. If you knew the artists already are struggling and are uncomfortable with it, nothing is done. The whole process was just a little Messi. My thing is, I don't want Netherlands not qualify. I just feel as because maybe the broadcast off-roaders got a little bit too confident in their selection process because they've been doing so well that they think they can do no wrong. Maybe they need a wake-up call. At the same time, I don't want that to be a reason for Netherlands and Mia and Dion's chances because that's like great exposure. I don't want them to be used as tools for teaching the broadcaster a lesson. But yeah, it's just very very unfortunate. Um, I agree with that. I do like the private auditions could work better, like they did with C'est vous qui décidez. That's a great example of the French national final that they had the past couple of years. If it doesn't work, then you shouldn't be up for consideration. But they could have at least internal auditions. Apparently, they didn't have that. They're just like, oh, it's Duncan Lawrence. He wrote a song, and then let's just pick some singers. All right. So it's just not what I was hoping for, but we shall see. We shall see. But I'm rooting for the Netherlands, just like I would for all other 36 countries. And I want them to do their best. So on to some other news. And I know somebody asked that before. And that is that infamous letter, I guess, that just was made public recently. But let me explain in case you're a normie and you don't know all the details, what's happening in the Eurovision world. Well, you can't be that much of a normie if you're watching this live stream, but you get my point. So basically what happened was, so delegations from 8 countries, and that includes Portugal, Malta, Czechia, Switzerland, San Marino, Azerbaijan, Latvia, and Poland, have all joined forces to voice their concerns over the limitations imposed on the press center at the Eurovision Song Contest this year. In a letter addressed to Dave Goodman, he is the digital communications manager at Eurovision, the group protests the new regulation, which includes closed-door rehearsals and a delay in the opening the press center until May 8th, just one day prior to the first semifinal. The delegations also expressed their displeasure with the elimination of individual press conferences for artists, which have been replaced with TikTok live sessions following rehearsals, but only the second rehearsals, right? Not even for the first one. And additionally, only 14 out of 37 participating countries, that's less than half in case you suck at math, have chosen to take part in the meet and greet session held at Euroclub between the 3rd and 5th of May. And according to the joint letter, the revised Eurovision press rules could potentially disadvantage certain nations. For instance, countries participating in semifinal 1 will only have 1 day to engage in media opportunities and interviews, while those in semifinal 2 will have more available time to do so. And the delegations are calling for the restrictions to be revised to provide equal opportunities for all participations. And it is understood that the Belgian and Estonian delegation expressed their support as well, but didn't co-sign it, but did after voice their support as well. Now, Eurovision fan media previously raised concerns regarding this reduced access, and our friend William Lee Adams at Weeby Blogs. He said that more works against the spirit of Eurovision. This works against the spirit of Eurovision and isolates artists from the very fans and journalists who want to celebrate them and share their stories. So real quick, let me also show you the letter just for transparency. First of all, before I do that, thank you so much for that very generous super chat, Rainier Arnasdottir, Iceland. That's always something. Thank you. No questions, but we really appreciate the support. But let me jump to my share screen. I want to give you the whole letter so you know exactly what they said rather than just me telling you. Is this working? Let me zoom in a little. Okay, so they're saying, after our meeting today, some heads of media have shown their concern about the media center openly only at May 8th. So this was back in March, actually. We feel this decision is not fair for countries performing in the first semifinal. In the past years, we all have experienced a larger number of interviews happen in the first week when the free time between rehearsals is bigger and the pressure of the live shows still growing. As you understand, at May 8th, the artists performing in the first semifinal have no free time to spend with media. The schedule is too tight and they have to focus on their performance. We understand you brought the solution of doing these meetings with media in the Euroclub, but we also feel that without a space to work, probably the majority of media members won't attend to Liverpool earlier than May 7th or 8th. That impacts me. I'm the prime example, and I'll go into that. We gather our concern in a group email to kindly ask you to reconsider this decision and review the chance of opening it some days earlier. We all want the best for the contest, for Eurovision brand, for the artists. We all stand for fairness with all participating countries. Of course, I know you want to hear my thoughts on this as well, but I'd love to hear as well what you guys are all thinking. Um, Obviously, this impacts me a lot personally. You know, as part of the press for many years. It's certainly less than ideal. You know, whether or not you agree with close rehearsals, you know, we have different opinions on that one. Both, you know, you can see both pros and cons, I guess. But the reality is, this has a huge impact on the artists, the delegations, and the country from a promotional perspective. There is virtually little exposure for them. They heavily relied in the past on fan media, anyways, because you know the big shots, they don't come here until the second week or until their country rehearses, but they don't concern themselves with any, you know, the other artists or like just a little bit. So they heavily rely on the media the first week, whether it's fan or some other outlets, to really provide some exposure. And some people saying, well, this whole, you know, close rehearsals, you know, just to give them more privacy, it comes at a price. So that is the issue. And as you can see, the 8 plus the 2 that already agreed with them, they all are in support of it. Estonia and Belgium, they're of course in the second semi. So they may not feel as strongly about it this year, but they could be in the, whoops, I'm hitting my microphone. But they could be in the first one next year and they have zero exposure because, again, the press center opens on Monday. On Monday, semifinal 1 participants, zero time for any media exposure because they have two dress rehearsals. So they'll be busy all day. It's going to be a nonstop day. So as you can see, that letter came out a little while ago. Clearly, that did not deter the EBU from making changes. And that is very, very unfortunate. And it's just kind of, how am I going to say that without saying ungrateful? Or it's constructive criticism. Let's stick with that. It seems as the focus really has even more shifted over the last few years from a artist and country focused event to a pure entertainment show. Like that the acts, the singers, and everyone else more than ever have become props rather than actual individual artists and the celebration of music. It's just more and more hardcore TV show, and that is their focus. And some people are saying that's all I care about. I just watch Eurovision once a year and I don't care about the rest, then that is fine. But that is one of the things that was so beautiful about Eurovision. These artists gathering new fans and that unity that comes into this and that very thing that made Eurovision so special over so all these decades. So that is certainly kind of what's happening. So let me bring up the question here. It's fine they closed the rehearsals, but they should allow press to interview the artists. Really don't understand why that's not allowed. Good on Weeby, though, to make an alternative. Not everyone has the same resources as Weeby, though, right? So, yes, your Weeby bloggers who create their own event where they can get interviews, but the rest of us, yes, we can ask questions from the audience, but we don't have our own interview opportunities. So, since we don't have that same kind of access. So, this is not necessarily always a perfect solution for us either. It's better than nothing. Absolutely. But it's still less than ideal. And keep in mind, even if they open it earlier, what is the incentive for people to go there if they cannot even see anything? And that goes into a lot of other issues with that as well. Plus, you're a taxpayer. You're paying for this performance. You're paying for these participants. If that was me, I'd be like, I have a right to see everything. But we can all have definitely different opinions on that. The BBC is not known for its neutrality, I'm afraid, and I think the decision not to allow press in the first week is very wrong and will have negative impact on all delegations. Okay, this is something you don't see all day. I hear what you're saying, David, but this is not the BBC. Maybe partially, but this has been coming from the EBU, the digital team. This has been in the making for a little while. And based on my experience at Eurovision this past year in Turin in particular, I learned a lot. And I did not like how was certain things were handled and the pressure that was put on us, and I felt very, very stressed in Turin. And we saw the writing on the walls, and this is what's happening. So the BBC may have some say in it, but this is certainly coming from the EBU for the most part. So that's what I wanted to point out here. I hope we don't lose all the informal moments that have made recent Eurovision so much fun. Maneskin playing table tennis, Subwoofer creeping up behind people. That was me. Oh, I did it with everybody. They creeped up on me as well. Benny Cristo and his hoverboard. That was us. I remember that. And Melanie getting on, and then she failed completely. Those things will things of the past, unfortunately, because that's all happened in the first week. The artists are able to walk around, mingle with the press and fans, and just build that relationship. And that's gone. Definitely this year, but I'm pretty sure this is gone for good, unless there will be a change of hearts. But the point of this is to just show the other side of the coin here. I know a lot of people are saying, well, maybe it's a good thing about all of this, but it has so many repercussions for so many people. And ultimately, it's all about the money as well. And oh, as this person says, is the sponsor thing the EBU bowing to the TikToks of the world? It's all, ka-ching. That's basically what it is. They get great financial support from TikTok. Last year, we saw all these buses and shuttles and TikTok everywhere. That's how they make money. And if they give these exclusive rights to TikTok, that fills up their pocketbooks and gives all the control that they want over the contest and what they can show or don't want to see. Them, they want to have the control as well. So it's money and control, basically. That is true. And yeah, we have to obey by the rules. I have to respect them and go by them, but I don't have to pretend that I like them. So, but yeah, so that's just, very interesting. I'm curious to see, because they didn't make any changes this year, if they will take things into consideration next year. But even think about it, even if they open the press center, let's say a few days early, Friday, right, instead of Monday. If we cannot do anything but wait for some artists, if they choose so, to come into the press center, there is also very little incentive for us, the press, to be there, because this is very expensive. Eurovision is very expensive. They just think, well, we're just going to show up there, get more. In my case, I have to take vacation time from work, and I only have so much a year. So I cannot just do that if there is not a certain incentive for us as well. So I don't know the outcome. So unfortunately, as said, it's not that black and white by just, closing the rehearsals. It was great exposure for the artists as well, and the delegations. And as said, it really helped a lot of other delegations before to really hype up their entry. Now, with all the marketing they're doing, BBC will have opened the press center for sure. It feels like hypocritical us to use the drama about rehearsal to just close the press center, right? Let me read that again. With all the marketing they're doing, BBC will have opened the press center for sure. It feels hypocrite to use the drama about rehearsals to just close the press. I'm not quite sure if I understand what you're saying. Forgive me. It is, in that sense, it's all about the money again. Closing the press center means less money that they have to pay for. It's a financial decision. And once again, goes back to the point that I was trying to make earlier, is that this is becoming more of a financial incentive event, which I understand, you need to make money, all of that stuff. But in the process, certainly it is less appealing for a lot of artists. And if this is here to stay, I can see a lot of other acts be like, this is not worth it for me. I mean, Eurovision is more than just that, right? But for smaller acts, this has been a wonderful way to really expand their network as well. So it is unfortunate. And keep in mind, everyone, questions at ESC United in the chat. I know some people post stuff, but I keep missing stuff. SP is saying, I'm waiting for the reports by the fan media. I'm definitely not going to download TikTok. I will have to, because it's kind of part of my job here. But yeah, that is one of the things I just want to point out, and that leads right into the next thing I want to talk about, and then we can talk about everything after that. It's about ESC United at Eurovision, what to expect, where to go, how does that all impact us. But first, water. All right, and this is basically, everyone asked earlier, how are we going to cover? Are there going to be any live streams at ESC United? How are you going to do all of that? Well, let me, first of all, I think the most fair thing to say is we'll be shooting from the hip. a lot more this year than in previous years because we don't have a lot of information. Everything is being released last minute. The transparency is not great. And so what we are trying to do is just play it by ear. That means we don't even know exactly when the rehearsals will kick off. We kind of have an idea, but it's not like official. So we don't know when those TikTok clips come on, all that stuff. So it makes doing live streams very, very difficult. So what we'll do tomorrow is I'm going to work on that tonight. We'll have a live stream. And I just need to figure out what time. I'm not going to sit around for 12 hours just waiting for those TikTok clips to come in to talk about stuff. But we will be on at a decent time in the morning, which will be my night. So my sleeping pattern will suck. And go through all the news. And as they're coming in, we'll discuss it. It's just going to be different. And I understand some of you that's not worth it. I understand that. Keep in mind, our live streams, yes, it was a lot about, getting the information, you're getting a feel for it. But it was also what I hoped it to be, a community, and just using these 2 weeks to just really let it go of all and just talk about Eurovision. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish. So even though we get less behind the scenes stuff now, it's all hush hush, that doesn't mean we cannot do what we used to do and we're still doing, and bring the contest and the people together, and let's just chat. And I know some people just here for the music and they just want the clips, and then they leave. We had that before. Armenia rehearsed, and all the Armenians came in and then they left. So that is no longer a thing because, as said, we are allowed in the press center the second week. However, the EBU does not allow any sound on our live streams that's from the rehearsals. So what that means, you will not be able to hear anything behind us. So therefore, if I want to live stream, I cannot be in the press center because there will be background noise. And I cannot mute it the entire time because then you cannot hear me. And I cannot filter out the sound. So all I can do is then be in my hotel room for the live streams and then go into the press center before and after. So that is just a little messy. So it'll take away a lot of that. So things will not like as they used to be. That is the thing. And we all have to come, to the realization of that and accept it or not, but that's just what it is. So live streams will be very different. Same for the next week. We don't know when these clips come in. Now we just find out that there's going to be one combined video at the end of the day. We don't know what time and how this all works. Why would I be on live stream for 10 hours if we don't have anything to go over? Yes, I could talk until the cows come home, but it seems a little like, okay. So there will be even less, I think, excitement around it. We'll just do what we always do and see if it works. And yeah, if acts can get media exposure and have take time off work, off gigs and concert, why would they participate? That is the thing, right? Right now, the first week, very little exposure. A lot of people, some people will be there, some fan media, but nobody else will be. So that is certainly a thing. So, but my point is, I'll do my very best to keep you entertained throughout the next 2 weeks. And that includes daily live streams. Yes, we'll have our daily live streams. Timing still TBD, because I don't know. I'm going to work on all of that tonight. Again, very last minute, but when you all wake up, there will be a link here on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And as pointed out, the first round of individual rehearsals, which is until Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably, right? Not counting the big five, will be TikTok only. They will be released throughout the day. But one thing as a media outlet here, we have some inside scoops, all that stuff, right? We have our sources, we have our information that we try to bring. So use this as a hub to stay up to date on anything Eurovision. So that's basically what it is. And then the second round, as pointed out, we have the clips in the evening. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do the live streams there. Again, we're not going to have 12 hours worth of live streams because there is no content there for have 12 hours of live streams. And at some point, even I will run out of stuff to talk about, which is rare, but it does happen. The second week will be more structured and kind of more like as we know it. But once again, the EBU does not allow any sound in the press center. So the show. So the only time I could do live streams is between shows there. And then on top of it, what the EBU has decided, that's part of the Dave Goodman's team, is that we are not allowed to recover our costs. So those very kind super chats, which half goes to YouTube, half goes to us, right? They are not allowed if I'm in the press center. They're saying you are not allowed to recover those costs if you are our property. I'm like, why? You allow paywalls, you allow all these other things, all these, and it's just weird that they just specifically came after us. And that's just to control things. And it does suck. We have to obey by it. And I'm respectful of all the rules. It's their decision to make. But that doesn't mean I have to like it or just not say anything. So it does suck. So therefore, there will most likely be no live streaming from the press center for that exact reason. And it sounds like, well, Matt, are you doing this for the money? If I would be doing for the money, I would put anything behind the paywall. But keep in mind, Eurovision is expensive. Not just us being there. I mean, that's a big chunk of the money as well. Don't get me wrong. Especially someone coming from California, I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Flight, hotel, equipment, you name it, food, whatever it may be. And on top of it, I'm running a website. I'm running a community. There's a lot of costs, technology, software. Like my costs are around like $10,000 a year. So I'm just trying at least to break even sometimes, which I never do. I'm always several $1,000s short a year. Yeah. So it just feels very punitive. And certainly, well, maybe the intent is for us to not do it anymore, but it won't deter me. So that is kind of what it is. But ultimately, the EBU definitely wants to be the gatekeeper of the data and the information to go to. And again, I cannot do anything but follow the rules and respect them. I don't have to like them. So we have to just reinvent who we are and what we do a little bit. So yeah. And this sums it up the best. Let's do that again. This is an expensive hobby. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it was worth it. It was worth it for sure. And that is also the reason. Let's actually the reason why I won't be there the first week. There are multiple reasons why that is. I will be there starting Sunday, May the 7th. That is right before the dress rehearsals start. This is the shortest amount I've ever spent at Eurovision, actually. And as pointed out, many different reasons play into that. Number one, with only 1 week worth of proper working area and access, it just makes it very, very difficult for us to justify the cost. There's not enough content for us to provide to be there early, for me at least. Also comes with like the last minute announcement. We haven't even had our access approved until like what, 1 week ago or something like that. Usually we get like at least 2 or 3 months or something like that. But the last year was already bad where they waited until fairly last minute, only one person got access. This time we got like, 2 weeks. Like I need to plan a little bit more ahead. Am I going to be there or not? So that played into it. So I couldn't plan. Liverpool, third reason. This is the most expensive Eurovision ever by far. And I've been to Sweden. Number four, I also had some health related stuff that played into it. So yeah, it was a lot. So I will only be there for a week. However, the rest of my team, they will be there earlier. As a matter of fact, Melanie, my dear Melanie, our champ, she's already there, chilling in Liverpool. Well, she's in Manchester right now. I think she's staying in Manchester, but she's commuting to Liverpool, something like that. I forgot the details, but she's there. And Roy, Sean, Connor, and Gabe, the rest of my team, they will all be there, arrive throughout the week at different points in time. So I will actually be the last one to arrive, and it's just for the reasons I just mentioned. And as pointed out, I already mentioned that I had made a note, no live streams from the press center, but we'll do what we can. Now, keep in mind, there is more to what ESC United does during Eurovision, right? We do a lot. We do social media, we do reports, we go behind the scenes. So there's plenty of other things. Just one of the big chunks that my time was dedicated towards were those live streams. That's still the case. We just have to figure out how it's all going to pan out. So ultimately, what will happen actually with me, in case you're wondering, I am leaving Friday night. I live in the Los Angeles area. So my flight leaves from LA, I want to say around 8 p.m. local time, and I'm going to fly straight over to Paris. And because there were no affordable flights from here to London, certainly not to Manchester, so I'm going to fly actually into Paris. And I get to spend a night in Paris doing Parisy stuff, but I'm just for a few hours because I get there like at 4. I have like a few hours just to have some French dinner, go to bed, and then early in the morning. By the way, that's Saturday when I arrive in Paris, Europe. And then first thing Sunday morning, I will jump on a train and make my way to Liverpool. The reason why I'm taking the train because there were no direct flights to Liverpool from Paris until like 8 or 8:30 in the evening. I'm like, I'm not going to wait that long. So I just jump on a train in the morning and be there at midday somewhere in Liverpool. So that is the process. That means I will miss Saturday's rehearsals. I will not be on live stream on Saturday. Since there's no live stream on Sunday at that early until the evening, I only missed that one thing. So I strategically placed all of that in that way. So that is why it's happening. So that is the process. Everything will be a whole lot more, you know, play it by ear, and we'll do our best. And I love not the only good thing. One of the good things that comes out of this, you really build an even closer bond with your Eurovision peers, other websites. You know, whether it's Wiwi blogs or Eurovoix or Eurovox and all the other ones. You know, we all in the same boat, and all we can do is support one another, and that's all there is to it. So I'm super excited. So now this is also a live stream, a night of honesty, I will call it, and that's why I bring you Thomas's question. And everyone, stay cool, calm, and collected. Everything is fine. But he said, I hope your passion for Eurovision remains the same despite all the negative changes with the press and the fact Eurovision is more thinking about money. Yes and no. My passion probably, here's the thing, after Turin, the way things went down, I actually said at that point, this is the last time. I'm not doing this again. I got major anxiety attacks the way we were treated there, or I was treated there. And I was like, I cannot put myself through that again. But my passion of Eurovision is what kept me going. And then earlier this year, I had some health issues, and I told my team, I don't think I can do Eurovision again. I have to retire. I told them that, and they were all really upset, as you can imagine. But I'm like, it's just becoming mentally too much for me, and physically at that point. But fortunately, I'm fine now. But my passion is what keeps me going. I was like, no, I won't quit. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just being very transparent how, you have your roller coaster rides, and the joy of doing this and the passion I've had ever since I watched the very first Eurovision as a teenager in 1998. It just carries me. And I'm just being very transparent. It's not always an easy run. It's just like thinking like, well, we just do it fun. It's so much money involved. I have a real-time job here. This is not a job. This is a hobby. And it's a very expensive and exhausting and time-consuming hobby but I wouldn't change it for the world. So that is kind of just, you understand like what we're going through. It's like, it's going to be hard, but I'm okay. So don't worry about me. I'll be here this year, and next year, don't worry about it. Speaking of next year, though, one thing that won't happen next year is, I'm not sure if you followed him on Twitter or me, but if you don't, you all know Sean, who has been with Team United for the past 8 years now, live on site. He is moving to Canada in June, and this is his last year with us, and I am devastated. I am so sad. He has been there like for so long, and not having him around anymore breaks my heart. But I understand it's just life happens, and I wish him nothing but the best. He'll be in the same time zone as me. How weird is that? But yeah, I'm very, very happy for him and his opportunity, but I'm super pissed that he is betraying us. No. I'm very happy for him. But yeah, so this will his last one, so we want to make it the most special experience for him as well. So give him a lot of love when you see him on the live stream, okay? Thank you, Jelly, for the support from me this year's Eurovision. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That really, really helps, as always. You know, by the way, everyone, I have to do the plug just because for the reason mentioned before. If you want to become a supporter, you can do it on Patreon. I also have if you want to be a supporter on monthly on YouTube, you can do that. Well, it's only, I think, $2 a month if you want to. I also have a PayPal link if you want to donate. That 100% goes towards us rather than to YouTube or to Patreon, their costs and all that stuff. So just wanted to make you aware of that as well. But again, the most important thing is like the video, comment on them, and share. That's free. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it makes the world of a difference in the algorithm. So do that. Please, 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 please. And now let's answer some questions. Let's open it up to whatever you want to say. And about the next few weeks, again, I'll be here tomorrow morning talking about the first one. Day of rehearsals. Matt, I truly hope you're feeling better about covering this year's edition and only doing as much as you can without overstepping your own boundaries and always putting your health first. I am. I always push myself too hard at Eurovision. I don't sleep much, and then I don't go party. But this year I will go party. And by party is responsible. I'm not going to go drunk and party until 6 in the morning. But I want to go to the events and actually have fun. So that's one thing I want to do. But yeah, let's see. Opinion on the backup jury being used as the last resort instead of the first if televoting fails. They will resort to aggregated results first if the televoting fails, which bothers me a lot. So let me sure I understand that. So, opinion on the backup jury being used as the last resort instead of the first if televoting. That's common, right? You always need to have some backup. What if televoting fails? Something needs to happen. And the past, you can say, well, then it's going to use the average from the other group in the same pot, right? That's what they've done. But I think the backup jury is only fair to have. They will resort to aggregated results if televoting fails, which bothers me a lot. Yeah, the aggregated results, I don't like that either. I mean, last year was especially horrible with all the juries that were eliminated, right? So we need to have backup juries, and they just cannot be disqualified again, as so many have had, because this aggregated thing it's a little nuts. It's a little nuts. Very important question. Will Billy be there? Oh, I'm gonna cry. Keep up the great work. Good luck. You're strong, Matt. It's love and respect that what matters the most. Remember. I know, right? Love, love, peace, peace, and a burning fake piano. So, Billy, these are some of our, not originals, but our longtime viewers, was the infamous fire extinguisher that was behind us in 2018, right? In Portugal, if I'm not mistaken, in Lisbon, that was always on our live streams, at least the first week. And he became a star, and then he kind of returned the next year, but only in pictures. So we'll see. I should probably bring him back. He became like the Eurovision mascot for a few years. So maybe we should bring him back. But that made me smile. Well, hopefully no one is on the team is getting caught up in the travel issues. Seeing there will be train strikes around Eurovision. It's unfortunate, only announced last week. Well, unfortunately, we are. I mean, I don't know about the rest of the team, but I am, because everybody else is flying, so I don't think it affects them. However, when I leave Eurovision, I was planning on taking the train to London because my flight leaves on Monday out of London. I know the strike is technically over on Sunday, right? But there's always that backlog that they're saying it's going to be a huge mess. And everyone who missed their trains the day before, they're all going to be on that one, so it's going to be hell. And I was going to be one of the first ones to leave Sunday morning. So instead, taking a 2.5-hour train ride, I know I'm stuck on a bus for 5.5 hours to going from Liverpool to London. Hey, it is what it is. So it did impact me. I didn't want to take a chance and not get a train. Plus, trains are so expensive. Like on that Sunday, it's like almost £100 for a 2.5-hour train ride. Everything, I know that's one of the reasons probably Sean is leaving the UK. Post-Brexit, things that, I mean, it was always expensive, but this is out of this world. It's like, oh my God. Do you think Lorraine is a done deal already? No. No, no, not at all. I also still consider her the one to beat, but at this point, I'm still convinced. Well, or I shouldn't say convinced, but certainly predict that Finland will win the televote. I think Finland will win the televote by a decent margin. And we're not talking about Ukraine win last year, but certainly a lot. It just screams televote pleaser and will take a lot of points. It'll come down to the juries. You can make a really good case that they may not give it as many points as you may think. But if he gets, like, let's say 175 points from the juries, I can see a universe where he can actually win this. So it is not a foregone conclusion in my book. So relax. And there are other options. There could be the situation that we have another Duncan Lawrence winner, where the televoters and juries completely disagree, and then he squeezes through as the winner. That could be Spain. That could be France. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but maybe. But some song that will be the second and third with both groups, and then go through. So there are multiple outcomes. So we shall see. Okay, Ibrahim, I know ESU United's team preference is Finland, but for me, Lorraine is a done deal. Opinions, love and respect. Well, I think it's kind of what I just said, right? It's not about even my opinion, but I mean, my opinion, my taste, I should say. I think there's a really good case to be made that Finland has such televote appeal. I am almost certain at the same time that Lorraine will clearly win the jury vote. So I think we have Lorraine as the jury vote winner, Finland as a televote winner, and then it comes down where these two fall underneath, right? Is Lorraine going to be second with the televoters or third? That might be enough. If Finland can somehow get a somewhat decent score with the juries, he can win. And as I said, there's always a universe where they completely, both will be dropped in the one group, and then somebody else like Spain, or not, I mean, I always say Spain, but there are other options, that could potentially squeeze through. Oops. Let's see. Imagine if Karya scores better with the juries than the televote. Then I will eat my own words, but it certainly would be a shocker. There would be a lot of jaws on the floor, I guess. So, wow. Yeah, I'm not even going to entertain that thought because that is just like my brain is melting. We shall see. Next question. Remember, at ES United, if you want to do that. I just don't see Finland getting that big of a landslide in the televote now that all the countries qualify via televote. Right, they qualify, but in the finals you have juries again. So that's what matters. I'm not saying, it's going to make a difference, but I think that regardless of who ends up in the finals, Finland just screams. That's just my opinion, and that's just the feel. I gave you my reasoning behind it. I just, that's just how I perceive the situation. And that's rare that a song that I like, because usually the songs I like, oftentimes are more favored by the juries. This time around, I see one of the songs I really like more favored by the televote. So that is very interesting. Forgive me, I'm trying to. What is your opinion on Wild Youth from Ireland cutting ties with their creative director? J.K. Rowling has come out in support, calling Wild Youth preening, self-satisfied misogyny. I did tweet about it, and obviously I used the hashtag because she said, I stand with whatever that guy's name was, Ian Benham. I said, I stand with Wild Youth. And what J.K. So in case, okay, let's backtrack. So what happened was that the choreographer for the Irish team had a history on Twitter that could easily be interpreted. I mean, it's blatant transphobia, right? The comments that he left out there. So that did not sit well with the fans, and certainly not with the band. And once they found out, they fired him, and then they posted something in support of the transgender community. And J.K. Rowling, who is known to be quite more transphobic, I guess, the interpretation, She posted a picture of someone that was referred to as a woman, but clearly was transgender and had very much looks like a man, and saying, "Look, this is who they think is they're supporting. That's misogyny, blah blah blah." Cherry picking one picture to further her personal agenda. So when in other cases he just called every transgender just a guy, this is creepy and da da da, and really insulting stuff. And so obviously I'm in favor of Wild Youth and their support. So of the community, and that's just how I feel. Next question. What do you make of the ROTW televote being 99 cents per vote? Rest of the world is honestly, I don't even know how much the votes are across other countries. There was a list. I know they had like a cheat sheet of all the costing and the price per country. So I think that's standard. I mean, in America, they would never allow that. You vote for free, but which is funny because this is like the capitalist country. But in Europe is where you have to, they charge you so much. Well, I won't. I refuse to vote and pay for my vote. I'm like, no, this should be free. Some people cannot afford to vote, and therefore they cannot. They say it's not included. Do you think that Israel could end up in the top 5? Could I? Yes, I could imagine a universe where Israel comes top 5. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. She sings well, so I think she can get a decent amount of televote. Jury vote. I mean, televote. I'm just a little worried about the song. It's just not as popular, and I don't know how well it's being perceived. I could see more of an outcome what we had in 21 with Israel, maybe slightly better actually, because I think it has a little bit more of a televote appeal than Set Me Free. But I don't think this is going to be a top 5, but could it completely be a surprise result there? Absolutely. Is anyone on the ESC United team going to the Lord of the Lost Matinees performance at the Cavern Club on May 9th? Maybe James. So James is not in Liverpool, so he will not be going there. I don't know. May 9th is what day of the week? Tuesday. Probably not. One thing they need to remember, we are press in Tuesdays like one of the busiest days. It's semifinal one night. So, unfortunately, we cannot just branch out and just focus on a Big 5 country that night. As much as we would love to be there, but it would be a little impossible. Let's see. Spain is winning the jury, and top 3-6 televote is overall ending 1, 2, 3. Alex, I actually could agree with that. I could see Spain being a jury winner. I always talk about Sweden, but Spain could give Lorraine some competition there. Right now, I thought Spain could be top 3 with the juries for sure. Not for sure, but likely. And yeah, I could see a top 3 to 6 with a televote. I expect Spain to be in the top 10 of the televote for sure, and I could see them going as high as 3 to 6. As said, I don't think they will win both televote and jury, but I could see a universe where they again do what Duncan Lawrence did, right? Come second and third or something like that, and then win overall. Because I do think, even though Spain to me is a song that I don't necessarily listen to a whole lot in the studio version, when it's on live, it's like goosebumps everywhere, and I think they could have that magical moment. So it'll be another great result for Spain regardless. So I'm not even concerned about that. So all good. Do you think Portugal will be at the final? At which place? Tell us your opinion. So I just hate the fact that Portugal is in that tough semi, right? And I know it is not the most conventional song. It's not a pop song. It's more cabaret. That is not to everyone's liking. But I do still think that Portugal's sound will be appealing to a lot of people, especially outside the Eurovision bubble. I think especially some older folks will really like the song. So I feel really good about Portugal's chance of qualifying. I have them as a qualifier, and I'm pretty confident about it. In terms of the final ranking, that I'm not sure about yet, because it's hard to know until you see all the competition. Right now, do I see a left side scoreboard potential? Potentially, but I'm not sure. But ask me again, like once the rehearsals kicked off, and then again once we have the finalists. But in terms of qualification, I feel pretty good about that. I feel really good about that. Okay, who do you think are potential dark horses and potential flops? Let's start with the dark horses. I'm looking at the list right now here of participants. I will give you one dark horse from the finalists already, and I do think Germany has absolutely dark horse potential in the televote. I think people don't realize how big Germany could go in the televote this year. When you watch all these shows like Amsterdam in Concert, everyone agrees, or most people, that probably Germany, the crowd went the wildest. I just think they have so much televote appeal. Jury's a different story, but I think they're going to go really big. I think yeah. So I don't count on Germany on a top 10 result because the televoters will probably drag them pretty high up. Let me take a look at some of the other countries now in the semis. Dark horse. I could see Switzerland actually doing much better than people anticipate. Lots of people are sleeping on it a little bit. It's a really pretty melody. It's a very well executed ballad in my book. And there are not that many competitive ballads out there in my book. So I do think that Switzerland could do quite well. They could also flop. But that's just, my hunch as of right now. You asked for that. In terms of potential flops, and keep in mind, this is not what I want to happen because they're good songs, but I'm worried about Czechia a little bit. I could see that one flopping if they're not going to pull it together right at Eurovision, and maybe people don't click with it as much. Same case you could make for Austria. Austria's song is immensely popular. It's not an easy song to stage live, genre and style-wise, so it makes me a little nervous. So that one is another one I should have mentioned in the staging thing I'm looking forward to the most. It's Austria. How they're going to pull this off. So yeah, that are the two that I would say, once again, not what I want, just what I'm thinking. So let's see. Do you think Austria will make the top 10? If they, as I mentioned just right now, if they figure out the staging, yes. I don't see a universe where Austria comes right side of the scoreboard. They're either not going to qualify or they're going to be really high. That's the two universes I see for Austria. And only time will tell if I'm right or wrong, but I want to be right. I was pretty good with my predictions last year. Definitely the best one on the team, so I need to keep that reputation intact. So we have a few more minutes. If you have any questions at ESC United, as a reminder, I will be back tomorrow morning. I just have to figure out the time with the whole, TikTok thing. But by the time you wake up, there should be a link. I'm going to work on that when we're done here. Do you think Italy in 2017 was considered as much of a potential winner as Sweden in 23? No. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I remember Italy being the clear favorite. The difference was there that Italy's odds quickly deteriorated as soon as rehearsals started at Eurovision. It just didn't translate as well on the big Eurovision stage. And I don't think the same thing will happen to Sweden. So I do not anticipate Sweden to drop a whole lot in the odds. I could see others rising more, which then, I guess, if you make a case, could result in their percentage maybe dropping a little. But I don't think that it's going to be a major difference. I don't think so. Yeah, but Italy was definitely, I don't remember exactly where Italy started in terms of I don't think we even knew how much of a margin there was in their lead in the betting odds. Another number one, I don't remember how different it was to the second one, if it was just as dramatic as Sweden or not. Okay, next question. Dennis, do you think Albania is going to qualify for the finals? If yes, Which place do you think they're going to get in the grand final? So I think it may not be the year for Albania, unfortunately, this time around. And it breaks my heart because I love this idea, I'm all about family, right? Whether it's your blood family or the family that you choose by yourself, your tribe or whatever. But that bond, it is so powerful and important that the whole thing just warms my heart to no end. So I love the song for that reason. I just don't think the song is falls into the competitive bucket. I don't think it necessarily. It's like, okay, it's a nice, heavy, slower song that doesn't necessarily. I don't expect crazy visuals on that one and melody. It's just not like the thing's gonna stick with you. So I don't know. Right now, I have Albania as a non-qualifier. That's basically what I'm saying. But as always, I'd love to be proven wrong. How about Norway? The pre-parties were not that good, in my opinion. Do you think it could flop? Um, I would stay away from pre-parties judgments. She wasn't horrible, right? You can make a case it wasn't that great, but keep in mind, Eurovision sound quality is way better. It's going to sound much more professional. And we have seen so many acts that got lackluster responses in the pre-parties just to blow us away on the Eurovision stage. I always use Luca Hami as the prime example. Everyone thought he's not even going to qualify because he just didn't sound great, like in Amsterdam in concert. And then he comes fourth at Eurovision in a very competitive year. So don't let that deter you. Norway will not flop. Norway will do really great. They're going to go really far. It's one of the few songs where I feel good about potential jury and televote appeal. So now don't worry about Norway. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. And if they're not, you can come back, you can complain to me. But I'm strangely confident about that one. There are a few ones, I'm not less confident about, but yeah, Norway, I'm not worried. So, how do you think Italy is doing? I think Italy's doing great. Now, if you're referring to Marco Mengoni, I really like the song. It's nostalgic to me, right? It's a little bit more the olden days feel, but it speaks to me. Now, I understand it may not be as popular as some of the previous efforts, but Marco's voice alone will just. Mwah. I don't even think they're going to win, and I still think a top 10 is very reasonable for Italy at this point. I think they're going to continue another great result this year. I haven't decided yet where, because again, I need to see the flow of the show. But yeah, I feel good. Matt, earlier you mentioned there no sound rule in the press room during rehearsals. Is that also the case for actual semi and final shows? Yes, AJ. There will be zero, nada sounds allowed during semis, final shows. Oh, you mean like I don't know how that works. I'm sorry, I was thinking about rehearsals. Sorry, you said the shows. Well, I won't be on camera during the live shows, so I don't know what the rules are. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's a good. I mean, wouldn't really matter because everyone else is watching it already. Know what I mean? Controversial. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. Forgive me. There was sometimes this chat that I selected that thing lags and now it's frozen. Controversial opinion. Poland will do much better than expected with the jury. Well, no, the problem is in order to surprise with the juries, they need to qualify first to the finals. So I will actually half agree with you and say I think Poland could, not will, could do much better than expected with a televote because it's a light song that is very catchy with a good looking girl and with the right staging. It could be just that light entertainment that people were really looking for. I think putting Poland dead last and the betting odds seems a little much. I think, well, I have certainly had other songs that I like a whole lot better in the national final or in the Eurovision running order. I can still acknowledge that there is some televote appealing quality there, especially those who are not aware of all the drama surrounding the selection process. So I still don't count them out. Just letting you know that almost every media outlet in Israel is talking about how Noah needs to pull a Cyprus 2018 miracle. Oh my God. Anyone, any media outlet who wants to recreate this hype around Eleni Ferreira in 2018, that's a death sentence, man. Why would you do such a thing? That is like the bar is like ridiculously high. So I do know though that Israel is good at staging for the most part, and they have a great artist, and that's why everyone on our team. Not sure if you watched our prediction video. Everyone on the panel, all 12 of us said, yeah, Israel is a likely qualifier. No, it's a certain qualifier. So we don't doubt Israel's chances. But why would you do that? Oh no, but media have to create a hype, I guess. Yeah. I'm not a very hypey person like that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Oh gosh. By the way, keep in mind you it helps me if you ask questions at ESC United. I know there are some other ones that I keep missing. We're gonna see tomorrow clips from the rehearsals. I mentioned earlier, Denise, I'm sure you joined later. We will have the clips on TikTok throughout the day. Don't ask me when, why, or how, but at some point tomorrow, that we'll get them. But keep in mind, the clips are like this long. And it's just going to be a shot from within the arena, not the actual camera work as you see on TV. So we shall see. Uh-huh. Uh, Poland will be destroyed by the vocals. Example, Belgium 2018, Cyprus 22, and Romania 21. Now, keep in mind, so Cyprus 22 was actually in the televote top 10. So she would have qualified. Now that we don't have juries, it's maybe not be as bad. Romania, didn't she come in the top 10 with the juries, I want to say? So you can still make it even with lackluster vocals. There have been less than ideal vocals before, and the artist still made it. So especially televoters are a little bit more forgiving when it comes to that. Now, if it's really off, like let's talk Gemini 2003, bye bye baby, lie to me baby, then yeah, then it'll impact. But I would not worry about it as much. If it really takes you out of the song, it is that bad kind of thing, right? That could potentially be an issue. Hey Matt, do you rewatch Eurovision years, and what's your favorite since 2010? So I don't rewatch like the whole show usually, but the songs all the time. Yeah, I love Eurovision history, like all the way back to 1956. And my favorite year since 2010. That's a tricky one. It's I'm gonna first do. No, there are 4 years. Okay, let me narrow it down to 3 years. Although there are 4 years that I really like. 2016 is really high. 2019 is really high, and actually 2018 is high too. Oh, uh, actually, I also love the year that was never meant to be. 2020. I forgot the year. I had to think there. Pause because my brain was catching up to what I was trying to say. 2020 would have been such a fantastic year. I still consider it a Eurovision year. So if I had to pick one, oh man, don't do that to me. Oh, oh, 2019, such a good year. But 21 was great too. Gosh, I see. I have to sit down and look at all of the songs. Yeah, I'm completely unprepared to answer that question. How about that? So yeah, so many good years. So many good years. It would have been easier for me to pick a few years I was not as excited about. Do you think? Do you think that this question just disappeared on my screen? Do you think Slovenia can get the highest placement ever? Also, I really, really appreciate you. Well, let's just talk about the second part. Well, thank you. Now let's get to your first part. Potentially, yes. It's always a competition, and I'm not ready to predict that yet. And coming top 6, because that means would be their previous placement. That's not an easy task. But is Slovenia a potential candidate for that? Absolutely. I am very surprised, pleasantly surprised, good surprised, happy surprised that they are doing so well in the betting fan polls, in the ESC United ranking, and all of that stuff. Because on paper, it doesn't seem like a song that the bubble would like as much. The fact that they do, that's a great omen in my book. So Slovenia is a little bit of a dark horse. We talked about dark horses earlier, right? So I didn't even think of them. Dark horse, Slovenia, dark horse. I forgot about them. So, okay, you guys are not doing at ESC United, so I keep missing questions. When can your team start watching rehearsals on the online press center? At first rehearsals, not shown on there too. Jason, also, you joined a little late. That's okay. You know, you have a life. I mentioned that earlier quite a bit. The first rehearsals will all be closed to press this year and probably going forward. So we'll only be able to watch everything starting first dress rehearsals a week from Monday. So and we'll be on site, not just online, although we can watch it online as well. So yeah, that is where we're at. Give me 1 second here. The chat is freezing. I need to refresh this, but then my camera will go away. My favorite Eurovision entry of all time was Denmark's Rolo and King 2001. Do you remember they finished second? No, I don't remember. Never ever let you go. No, you hurt my feelings. You bring back memories. Oh, was that the last time, by the way, that the host nation performed last? I think, right, until this year, that is. I think 2001 was the last year where the host nation performed last. So that's now 22 years later, actually, the case. Yeah, that was a great song. 2001, gosh, it was one of the early Eurovision years for me, but I remember that year. That was the last time, by the way, because those who don't know, I was born in Germany. That was the last time I got to watch Eurovision, not in America. I actually watched it in Germany on my couch. That was, I was still, I guess, a teenager technically. So, but yeah, good times. I digress. Nick, that wasn't a question, that was just a statement, but it's a compliment. Matt, extensive knowledge of ESC past always astound me. I just love history. I love history in general. I like world history, that kind of stuff. I'm fascinated by it, how things came out and to be and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I have a big appreciation for Eurovision songs decades before even I was born, and I was born decades ago. So yes, that's why every time I get like an old question, like a question from what was your favorite song in 1974, and I'm well, of course I picked ABBA's here, but that was not the best option. But I love that kind of stuff. Now don't ask me who came for sixth place in 1967. Then yeah, I know all the songs, but I cannot remember every single placing. So my brain isn't that big. Can you organize a Kahoot Eurovision quiz during the wait for the rehearsal clips? Oh, that is a smart idea, but it's dangerous. I'm entering dangerous territory. What if I put up a quiz and I F it up? I cannot ruin my reputation here. So let's pretend this question never happened. Let's remove it from screen. No, we're not going to do that. Now that sounds actually like fun. We could play little mini games. We could play like guess the Eurovision song. That kind of stuff. Oh, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah. So once again, I think I need to get ready for tomorrow's show. We'll be here in the morning. It's probably just going to be me. I'm going to talk to my team if anyone else is available, but they're all busy with packing and traveling over there. So I want to give them a little bit of time to get ready for that. But I'll be back in the morning for sure, just so you know. If 1972, Olivia Newton-John should have sung Angel Eyes, it would have given ABBA a run for its money. I assume Angel Eyes is not the ABBA song you're referring to, right? Look into these angel eyes. I'm sure there is an Olivia Newton song that's called Angel Eyes. I cannot speak to that because that's outside of Eurovision. So I don't know that song. So I cannot comment on that. The voting system was 1974, interestingly enough, the year ABBA won, is the last year where we use a different voting system, because it seems like every year or every other year the voting changed between 1956 and 74. It was 1975 when we finally introduced the voting system that we all now, in this day and age, 12, 10, 8, 7, and so on. Yes, we had some variations, adding the jury vote on that stuff, but the voting pattern, the points, this has stayed the same since 1975. Interesting. In case you didn't know, some of you, I'm sure, didn't know. It came second in the UK Song Contest. Okay, so I don't know. I assume Olivia Newton-John had like a national final, just her, and you could pick songs. Yeah, I don't know. I cannot remember the national finals from back in the day either. I don't know much about that. So we'll see. Iceland will probably flop. Romania too, even if they get good staging. Well, Romania is expected to flop, right? So I don't know if you can call it a flop if you already expected to flop. I think a flop when you have like a song that's supposed to do well and then they just don't. Iceland is a 50-50. No, I would say a 60-40 for me. 60% no, 40% yes. Iceland this year feels more like the era of the mid-late to tens for me, where the songs were fine, but not just kind of disappeared after, like Paper and One Step at a Time. I forgot the name of the song right now. So I feel like it falls more into that bucket to me, song-wise. So I'm worried something like that could have happened. But we shall see. But I still think that I will say Iceland did not have necessarily the best or the strongest national final this year. So they made the right decision. They chose the best option for them. And if you watch all my other videos, you know my personal opinion on the song and what they could or should have done. But Unbroken. Thank you, Felicia. Unbroken. Unbroken. See, I know the stuff, but sometimes your brain, especially when you're doing this, it's just trying to catch up. Why? What is your big five, top five? Oh, dear. I didn't even mean to select that question because I won above, but Alvaro, you were chosen by luck for me clicking the wrong thing. You can't. Okay, so I have a top 10 video of, like, with my team, right? 4 of us. We all gave our top 10 in no particular order. In my video, out of the big 5, 4 of them are in my personal top 10. That only shows you how much I love the big 5 this year. They are stronger than ever. And I like all 5 big 5 entries. I love them all. So the fact that Spain is the only big 5 country that's not in my top 10 makes them technically my least favorite. But I refuse to call them my least favorite because I think they're amazing. I just, the difference between the other 4 is this one is not the one I seek out in the studio version, while the other ones I do. So that was my thing. And then the other ones, I don't know how to rank them because I think Italy would be 4th then. And then it would be France, Germany, and UK. I like them all. Dang. Yeah, I refuse to pick between these 3. Sue me. Only Matt chose Sweden in that video. Oh my God, Paris. Oh my God, I was so devastated to see that. And here's the thing. No, it's just us, right? Is anybody else listening? Just us. Okay, good. I say they're really quiet so no one hears it. Sweden was my 10th place. I barely squeezed it in thinking, oh, everyone's going to have Sweden in there. I like it, but I think I put another song on last. No, it's fair. I really enjoy Sweden. It's such a good song. I'll put it in my top 10. It's my 10th place. Thank God I did. Could you imagine if no one would have had Sweden in their top 10 video, that this, oh my God, that would have been terrible. Um, so yeah, I'm glad I did. But it's really our, especially our core team, right? We are often more known. Uh, I'm not sure if is alternative is the right word, but certainly non-mainstream folks, James, Roy, Sean for now. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise. Oh, God. I was like, no, not again. Because in 21, we did a top 10 video and nobody had Italy in the top 10. I was like, oh no, no, no. But then last year, plenty of us had Kalush Orchestra at least. But yeah, it's just how it goes. But it's not, the people that are in the video there, this is not strategically played. It's really just people pick their songs and then we randomly shuffle them up and then they pick them. If you had to bet on one country to win 24, which would it be? Well, I'm Stefan. I still, even though I said don't count out Finland, if I had to bet on a country, and I don't bet, but I think I would look at it, what is the safest bet? Therefore, my money is the safest. I would still pick Sweden then, I guess. I think Sweden still has the best shot at winning overall. But I'm just not convinced that is a foregone conclusion. That's a big difference. So yeah, hang on. Sometimes this chat just freezes and it drives me nuts. I don't know why to spell it. I start spelling everything because I'm always around my nephew and niece, and I say a lot of bad words, so I just keep spelling words when I don't really need to. Do you feel this season has went by so quickly? It feels so weird to me that rehearsals are actually starting tomorrow. Yes, and the older I get, the faster it goes, it seems. But that's just life, I guess, for me. This went by quickly, and I was like, I'm gonna do so much, and then I could only do so much every year in terms of coverage. It went really, really fast, and that's just how it goes, I guess. So, but now the next 2 weeks will be just so exciting, and then we all get ready for PED, post Eurovision depression, right? Honestly, I never go through it though. Not anymore. I used to in the past, but now I'm almost like, oh, thank God it's over. I can actually do stuff. I have a life again. But to me, it's all about preparing for the rest. The PED doesn't kick in until like a month later, even because the month after Eurovision is still busy. It's the summer slump. That's where it gets a little like, eh. But yeah, that just kind of goes. Do you think Lorraine could beat Kalush if Lorraine was in 2002 with Tattoo? No, Thomas. We all understand. And Kalush Orchestra was one of my favorites last year, right? Coming from someone who is deeply in love with Stefania. I understand that there were other circumstances that resulted in this very, very high score for Ukraine. This will never happen again unless another war starts and something like that. So there is no way that any country would ever be able to get in virtually everyone's top two, right? Because Kalush Orchestra got mostly 12s, a lot of 10s, and then I think there were only 2 countries that gave it 8 points and one that gave it 7, right? Let that sink in. So that will never ever happen again, even if your best song in the world. Something like that will probably never happen again. I mean, prove me wrong, but it's just not going to happen. And that comes from someone I said who loves the song. It's one of my high up in my favorite winner rankings, I guess. Next question. Will the rehearsals be open for the present public? Not the first round, the second round. And I get the question a lot tonight. I should just put a little disclaimer at the bottom of the screen. The press will be the rehearsals will be closed during individual rehearsals, open during dress rehearsals. That is what is going to happen. I asked about 24, not 23. Which country do you feel money? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Stefan. I'm living in the past. Why would I put money on 24 if I don't even know the countries? Or like the song? I mean, then Okay, here's the safe answer. Still applies. Sweden. Sweden's always a safe bet, right? They're always up there, so it's only a matter of time until they actually crack through and get another top one, if you will. So yeah. There you go. Excuse me. Um, oh gosh, this is freezing again. So I may not bring up the questions on screen because it keeps freezing when I click on it. So I'm just going to read them. Do you think Ukraine, which is third in the odds, is a contender for the victory? No, no, it's not a contender. And I really have grown to like the song quite a bit. Um, it's a little bit left over from um, the war thing, and a lot of people put money down early on, like they were considered the betting odds favorite until basically Sweden Loreen came around, and then they started dropping. But dropping means people put more money on other countries. So Ukraine's not going to win. I think they're going to do well, but they're not going to win. So I don't think that's necessarily representative. Keep in mind, all betting odds are is just what people think what country could win. It doesn't mean necessarily the quality or any sort of that. And that's why you see so much shifting during rehearsal time. And the closer you get to the actual event, the quicker it changes. Like even depending on what outlet you use, it could change during the show. Like I remember one example is in 2018, Suri. Her song was, UK is always doing slightly better in the betting odds because it's the UK. But all of a sudden they had the stage invasion, right? And everyone thought, wow, this is going to get a lot of sympathy vote. And all of a sudden she shot up on that night in the betting odds. And it's like, no. So that's why it can be a little confusing as well. Don't worry about that. What are you surprised by in the odds? I don't have the odds in front of me, so let me bring them up. Once again, to add the caveat, there are all kinds of odds out there. The most prominent and common one is, of course, who will win Eurovision. And I mean, I agree that the songs besides Ukraine's already down to 6% now as the winner. I'm surprised by not much in the betting odds, to be honest, there in terms of winner. But let me go to who will qualify based on the betting odds. So in semifinal one, Finland and Sweden, as well as Norway, they're kind of tied, as with 96%. Makes sense. Israel makes sense. Czechia, yeah, I can see that. Moldova, Serbia, Croatia, Switzerland, and Portugal. And then Netherlands, Latvia, Malta, Ireland, and Azerbaijan this low. I still think Malta has a much better shot at qualifying than the betting odds. Give them credit. Just a hunch. So I would put it a little higher. But other than that, I live with that. Then for semi two, Austria, Australia, Cyprus, Armenia, Lithuania, Georgia, Slovenia, Belgium, Greece, and Estonia. I'm surprised Estonia now in 10th place of qualifying. Initially was like way higher. I feel as like Denmark currently outside of the top 10. To me, it seems like a likely qualifier. So I would put that a little higher as well. So that should be in the top 10. Other than that, no, I think the odds based on what we know, and I feel I can agree with that. But yeah, I would definitely put Malta a little higher, and I would put Denmark actually a little higher as well. So that would be my two guesses. Let me bring that up. Why do you think France is always in the top 10 odds and rarely get the top 10 results? Multiple reasons. Number one, it is France. It's a big country. And oftentimes countries put that money on their own country, right? That's why the UK is often higher. That could be one reason. Number two, oftentimes French songs get a lot of hype. In 2016, I mean, they came in 6th place. They just underperformed with the televote. In 21, they came in 2nd. Now, the years where they flopped, like 22, I don't remember where they were in the betting odds on the night or right before. I can look it up since I have them up already. So on the night of Eurovision 22, hold on tight. Poland. Why am I switching to Poland? France was actually 19th place in the betting odds, so maybe they weren't that high. I think initially they were, but they kept dropping. Then in 21, I mean, they came second. That makes sense. In 2019, so France did this thing in 2015 and 2019, where they completely shot up in the betting odds after the rehearsals. Both were very well received, the staging and the feel. And a lot of people thought, well, that is enough to win it all of a sudden. There is a little less sophistication when it comes to this kind of betting thing. But both those songs got a lot of hype around the staging, and therefore they got a big, big boost. I remember in 2019 saying, don't. Yes, it's an interesting staging, but it's still the same song. So I was proven right on that one. So that's kind of what happened there in some of them. And the rest, I think 2018. Oh, because that was a fan favorite from the get going. It underperformed a little bit as well. So I can see that. So if anything, France frequently underperformed the expectations, 2018, 22, and several other years. So I think that also makes sense. Matt, we can't bet for France in France here. It's forbidden by the law and illegal. Is that so? I didn't know that. Is everyone fault? Why can't you do that? So the country can say you're not allowed to bid on your own country? Wow. Here comes the American in me out. I'm like, the government can tell you what to do with your money. Yeah, but that is certainly odd. Right? What if they have the best song? Yeah, I don't know. My brain does not compute. But France has a lot of government control things which might kind of make me scratch my head. So let's not go into that. We don't want to get too political. What country has never won ESC will be next? I get the question quite a bit. It's a good question. And it's, of course, very hard to say without knowing the songs, because there could be another Portugal, the country that struggled at Eurovision for so long and then brings in the perfect song. That could happen again. Absolutely. Now, if you look at more like consistency, and that's the only thing I can take into consideration, I think it's only a matter of time until a country, one of the small countries, will win it all. Iceland and Malta are on my radar. Malta oftentimes has lackluster songs, and then they just blow us away with that one song, and that could happen easily. Same for Iceland. They're not always like at the top of the game, but when they are good. So they need another moment where things come together and then they take it all home. So if I had to believe it based on consistency, not randomness, I can see Iceland and Malta getting ready for that. I want to say if one of the other more Balkan countries are overdue, but they have not shown per se the same sort of consistency. They can get lucky and get an amazing song. I'm talking about Croatia. I'm talking about North Macedonia. They're not in this year, but you get my point. They'll be back. Montenegro, Slovenia. So these countries could potentially, win as well. Any country can win. It's just they have not shown me over and over again that they are have what it takes. But again, it could happen. It could happen. Australia has the highest rate of gambling per capita, and yet we're rarely in the odds. I thought that would be the UK. Really? I want to look up those numbers. Yeah, I don't know. But you also, Australia is big, but there are other big countries. But aren't you always in the top? Not always, but no. Australia is frequently high up, right? I have to go back. I know this year, you're not going to win, but you're in 14th right now, right? And I'm looking at 22. In 22, last year, you were in 14th. I think that's pretty good. Let's look again this year. Australia is 16th. Okay. Let's look 21. That's the year where you did not qualify. So I think no one was expecting you to do well. Oh, it is already removed because you didn't qualify. So I don't have that here in front of me. So yeah. But 2016 when you did really well, you were high. In 2015, I remember you being really high. Uh, so then yeah, 2019, I remember Australia being pretty high, fourth place. So yeah, no, I think Australia. I'm getting hung up on that. Do you think Turkey will return to the Eurovision? To the Eurovision, according to rumors. So these rumors have been floating around for many, many years, and I will continue giving you the same answer. As long as Erdogan is in charge, I don't see it happening. I know there's an election coming up. I don't have high hopes, but as long as he's in charge, this will not happen. I know we try to keep politics and Eurovision separate, but we live in the real world, and that's not going to happen. Similar case can be made for Hungary. It's no coincidence that these countries withdrew from the contest based on certain reasons. So I think Turkey will need to take a step in a different directions politically, which then affects the country, of course, and the culture a little bit, and that is what it needs. But it is just unfortunate. But I want all countries back, but especially Turkey, because I feel like almost a generation, it's been more than 10 years, has missed out on the contest, and we're going to get into the same territory as Italy was, because they withdrew for 15 years or something like that, 16 years, I don't remember. And then it became completely irrelevant, the contest, because the younger nation didn't even know about it. So I have a feeling that Turkey could be end up in the same kind of situation. They will be back eventually. I just don't know. I saw some people saying Erdogan will be a past memory and that will be changed. I hope so. I hope so. But I had a similar feeling about Brazil. I was nervous and then I was pleasantly surprised. So surprised me. Surprised me. I mean, we were in a similar situation in the U.S. a few years ago. Oh gosh, I remember voting that year. Okay, and I'm getting anxiety again because Trump is running again, but I don't want to talk about it. Thinking back to entries from a year ago, do you remember Bamses Venner, Denmark, 1980? It has always stuck in my mind. Just a sweet song. Yes, the thing is, I have. When you said the year, not Denmark, yes, that's an amazing song, Denmark, 1980. I sometimes don't remember the names, but I remember the songs and the visuals. But yes, I do remember that was a really cool song, one of the best that year, I want to say. 1980 was not my favorite year, but that one certainly stood out to me. Everybody else, check it out at some point. Check it out. Okay, I made the mistake of bringing up the question on screen because now it's frozen again. Okay, I cannot scroll. All right. Well, I need to get a new software, man. This one is driving me nuts. Maybe it's my computer. Do you think Turkey might return to Eurovision? We said that one already. So I'm just going to read questions now because, I did it again with screen and that ruined everything. I hope Lazara lives up to the hype, not like the previous artist, because she received a lot of insults in France after canceling her performance in Amsterdam. Her kid had health problems. And she gets criticism for that? F them. If your kid has health problems, a loved one, whether it's a kid, a spouse, or whatever, you're out. Take care of them. It's stupid for people to say that. Absolutely. I hope she's going to do well. I understand that there's always that pressure, especially when, isn't she like fourth in the betting odds? She's going to take over past Ukraine at some point. Yeah, I don't know. What's your thought on the overall organization this year by the BBC? Good. There's a lot that needs to be still observed because I'm not there yet. In terms of pre-contest, I am thrilled that they have so many events going on in Liverpool. Like, there's no shortage of events. That is the best thing they have done. Turin lagged. Oh, it was terrible in Turin. Other countries done it better, but this is like a new thing. So that alone is fantastic. I don't like the idea that they are charging for certain events that were always free in the past, like Eurovision Village the last night. I didn't get a ticket, so I cannot go. I'll be in the press center, I guess. So I would have gone anyways. But there are certain things that have not been as good as I would have liked. Same, they always talked about cost of the making it affordable. They didn't do anything to make it affordable. The city could have passed rules that you cannot overcharge. Other cities have done that. That did not happen. I would have to think another things through, but there are a few things that stood out to me as well. Yeah, the odds are so weird. France in the top three, but in the winning odds, Ukraine is third. Yeah, that's as I said, it really comes down to putting money down. It's not always the best way to forecast things, even though sometimes they have been quite accurate. But that's because they see it with their own eyes. Right now, nobody knows really, so it just goes by hunch. But it is makes sense. I am more confident that France will be a top three then I couldn't see myself putting money down on France for being in the top three. I at this point am not. I would not put money down for France as a winner. So I can see a lot of people following the same sort of thought process there. So yeah, but betting odds, I always take them with a grain of salt. Yes, we look at them and it gives us a little bit of idea what other may think. But again, it's not always the best indicator. Sometimes, let's take a look again at 23. Let me just go back there because on the winning night, just even like when they had all the information based on the bet. Oh, not 23. We haven't had 23 yet. Thank God I'm pretty. Otherwise, my brain is not working. Um, Ukraine was considered the winner. They won. Sweden, oftentimes also really high in the betting odds, not to do quite as well. They came second in the betting odds. Spain third, that is right, UK fourth. So in this case, they were quite accurate. Italy was pretty close. Norway, subwoofer, Ackman River 7, Constructor 8, Greece 9, and Moldova 10. So overall, that was actually a pretty good prediction. However, that all changed, right? The way I look at it right now, if you had a snapshot in time on how the betting odds looked, like before rehearsals, that was very different. Moldova was way further down and all of that. So it's not necessarily an apples to apples kind of review. So do you agree that the sympathy televotes of Ukraine, um, sympathy televote of Ukraine was just get less and less important every year? Well, I don't know. I'm always also very protective of people saying, well, it was just a political win of Eurovision. I always have a problem when people just say that, only because how do you vote? You can fairly say it was not a political, it was an emotional vote. And what do we vote on? If we like a song, and that is based on our emotions, if there's a ballad that touches our heart, we love it. It touched me emotionally, therefore I vote for it. You see Ukraine on stage, and just them being there, it gets me very emotional. I want to vote for them. So that's what it is. So I will defend the vote until the cows come home. People felt an emotional connection to the song. Due to outside circumstances, sure. But it is still a vote that people wanted to make. Not because of political, because it was emotional. And emotions is exactly what's so important about music. So I will always support Kalush Orchestra and Ukraine's win for that exact reason. So yeah, but now I hear what you're saying. I think that particular emotional support may, at least in terms of voting, is probably going to go lower. Not because people don't feel as bad or terrible about what's going on, but just because time has passed, they have won, and people, there are other issues people also have to kind of deal with in their lives. So people, it's probably going to be a little less, and we've seen it at junior, we've seen it in other places. Oh, look at that. I'm going to use that. It wasn't it wasn't an emotional one. So true. Now it is true, and I always try to explain that to people. It's not like I want to say stick it to Putin. I'm going to vote for Ukraine. That's not what it was, right? It was really just like I see Ukraine. It is so wonderful that they're here, and the song was good. And people, I mean, if the song would have been really, really terrible, maybe had a different story. I don't know, but the song was good. And even my sister, I remember like, oh, Ukraine is really good. I'm like, and maybe the people wanted Ukraine to be really good, and therefore, but yeah, it is emotional. So it was very interesting. And we'll never know. We can always just say these things. Who do you think will do better than expected based on fans, odds, predictions, minds? Azerbaijan and Cyprus. Azerbaijan, I'm not as convinced about because it's only televote. Cyprus, yes. Our team's predictions, I posted them over the past couple of days. Feel free to check out the video. Our team thinks that Cyprus will be the 10th qualifier. I'm like, I mean, there is the risk that he could butcher the live thing, but the song is just so ear friendly to the average person. So I think Cyprus is a pretty likely qualifier. And so I think it could do really well, especially like the similar writing team as Tattoo, songwriting team. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's all the time I have for today. But thank you, everyone, for sticking around as long as you did. And this was wonderful. I will be back tomorrow again. The link will be up in the near future. I just have to figure out the ifs, how, when, and why, and then look at all that stuff. But I wish you all a good night if you're going to sleep soon, and a good day if you're still starting your day. Thank you, and let the Eurovision Song Contest rehearsals begin.